Now, first things first, I want to talk about the armor situation because we're going to be wanting to utilize the Siege Ready's increased reload speed of 30%. And along with the DP8 mountain scaled armor, we also get an increase of ammo capacity across all weapons by 20%. This, paired with the Sweeper, is absolute gold. The increase in the reload speed is essential and is very effective when you use it in a particular way. We will get to that when we start discussing weapons and stuff like that. And although I do primarily use the DP8 mountain scaled because it's a medium-based armor and I have a thing about using heavy armor, I'm more of quite a pacey diver. I like to disengage from fights rather than stand there and tank everything coming at me. And so for the heavy armor enthusiast, I recommend the RE824 Bearer of the Standard. It comes with the increased reload speed for primary weapons of 30%, which we absolutely need to utilize with the Sweeper. But instead of the increased ammo capacity, it gives the wearer a 50% chance to avoid grievous limb injury. That will come in handy if you're looking at running this loadout solo, primarily, I guess, because if it comes to loading it into a group situation, maybe you'd go along with the medium. However, if you were to wear heavy armor, I would absolutely recommend this, the RE824 Bearer of the Standard. One thing I've just noticed as well, it ends with the Tyrant Rex. It's kind of fitting, seeing as my channel name is Dinosaurus Rex, but whatever. And for the maniac schizo divers out there that like running around like a feather, I'd obviously recommend the SR24 Street Scout. You get the increased reload speed of 30% and the increased ammo capacity as you would always get with the Siege Ready. However, your armor is at 50 and your speed is at 550 and stamina regen is through the roof. But considering the amount of buffs that the enemy have been getting in durability damage and whatnot, I don't like running light armor anymore. But each to their own. And of course, we go with the only cape because it is the only cape. Ever since the SG97 Sweeper came out in the Entrenched Division Superstore, I haven't put it down. This thing, let me just read it to you. A slam fire shotgun fires continuously while the trigger is depressed via activation of the pump action mechanism, loaded with armor-piercing fletchets and equipped with an extended bayonet. This thing kicks like a mule. It has saved me in so many situations where I've been cornered and it's been able to just clear everything, or at least stagger and push enemies back. That's including bots, Illuminate, and the bugs. It's performed more so against the Illuminate and the bugs for obvious reasons, being medium armor penetrating, as most things over there are really light armor. But when it comes to using it against the bots, a few little things you can change here and there with the barrel that can add to precision and make things a little bit easier. But when it comes to customization for the likes of Illuminate and bugs, particularly the Illuminate, if you were to use the duckbill where it spreads across here, you can pop heads multiply. Again, if you're aiming at a certain distance, a certain height, and people are a certain distance from you, this thing has popped heads beautifully. But when it comes to the bots and stuff like that, usually using the full choke so you can make sure that every single pellet is as close to the crosshair as possible. And as also you have to judge the distance as to which you're shooting, therefore also considering the fall-off damage against the bots, because you're going to have a bit of a hard time where there are multiple different enemies in the bots that have got light armor, medium armor, and heavy armor and stuff. But across the board, used in the correct way, I cannot talk foul of the SG97 Sweeper. It's the primary of this build. It's mainly what everything is built around, because we're relying on the 30% increased reload speed when it comes to its slam fire shotgun ability. If you're not too sure what that is, you hold the trigger down as it explained. It will just pull off an animation where you're firing at quick succession and reloading the gun in quick succession. When using this, even if you're just clearing a few 3 or 4, reload immediately, because it carries a capacity of 7, but if we're using Siege Ready, we get that little extra amount in there as well. And when you're firing, even at a crowd, and you want to give yourself, you think you've got yourself a few seconds to just throw a few more shells in the gun, just to back up a little bit. Like I was saying, I'm more of a disengaged kind of person. Do it. That's the reload speed. That's why we're using this, and you won't be sorry for having this always fully loaded. It will get you out of primarily most situations, I feel like. That's why Everything is built around this, and it's why I haven't put this thing down. It's great. This thing might as well connect to people like an extra limb, or at least me. I don't go anywhere without the ultimatum. I could use the Talon. You could use the grenade pistol maybe, but the ultimatum seems to be the one that I feel like most divers are taking because it's anti-tank, it's explosive, it's a mini nuke in a pistol. It works great. It clears most everybody kind of knows what you're able to do with it. So it's versatile. It's a no-brainer for me. I'm not telling you to use this, but I don't know. I encourage people to use the ultimatum as much as possible. At least that's when it comes to the secondary. And when it comes to our throwable, I tend to bounce between gas and incendiary when it comes to the Illuminate and the bugs. However, when we're fighting against bots, it's either the Giga Grenade or it's the Thermite. It's no question. However, this has been doing me very well. I'm the type of person that would use this, that if I am about to disengage, being swarmed, and maybe there's been too many for the sweeper to deal with, or the rest of the situation that I'm using in this loadout, but I'm able to get out. I find myself a little channel to be able to exit. I throw one of these down. You could also do it with the gas, but I like to use the incendiary because although we now know that the flame has a kind of like a disturbance factor to the enemies, they would get rolled up, much so with the gas than where they would be confused. But this one just causes damage as well because it's incendiary and it lights the ground on fire. So anyone that isn't in the radius at that time that walks into it is going to catch fire. So yeah, mix it between the incendiary and the gas. But when it comes to the bots, make sure you're taking the Giga Chad or the Thermite. Anti-tank, again, a no-brainer. Now, I know when it comes to stratagems, they can be somewhat subjective depending on who you're fighting against, and we'll go over a few changes when it comes to that. But one thing that I never leave the house without across all factions is a 500 kg. It's anti-tank. It does the job. It can get you out of sticky situations. It's powerful when it wants to work. Sometimes the damage output can be a bit... But yeah, the 500 kg is a must in this loadout, for me, at least. Now, this is going to be a setup, seeing as the recent major orders as of this video is fighting the Illuminate and bugs. We'll go with this little stratagem setup at the moment. So, along with the 500 kg, I've been running the MGX 42 Bulletstorm. Expendable, very quick cooldown, turnaround, Stalwart. It's absolutely amazing against bugs and Illuminate, and the fact that it refreshes in 10 seconds is, in 60 seconds is amazing. If you're using it on your own, you can plot these things around as you're going on your journey, because sometimes there have been situations where I've found myself being caught short, and then lo and behold, there's a Bulletstorm that I dropped, I don't know, 15 minutes earlier in the mission. They're saving my skin. And you can also use it in a party, in a quick situation. There's been several times that I've played in groups where there was one particular time that myself and another guy were holding what felt like a trench, and the both of us had Bulletstorms. And each time we were synchronized in throwing them down. So when mine had been used, he would wait for his to be refreshed and throw his down. And it was just simultaneously working. And we survived against all odds, thanks to this little dude. I swear by these things. Worth every single super credit that you could pay for them. I love this stratagem. Bulletstorm, without a doubt. Now, you can vary with these ones, but I always like to bring a rover with me, particularly when I'm fighting against the Illuminate and the bugs, which we're kind of focusing on here. I like to use the AX-LAS-5 rover, particularly the laser one, because it's precise when it comes to its shots. And one of its most noticeable factors, at least to me, is it acts like a personal UAV. If there have been so many situations where I've been more focused on what's in front of me, and then I hear out of the corner of my ear the rover go off, I quickly throw my mouse up to look around where it is, and it's shooting behind me. And I can see where the stream of the laser's firing as well, so I know where the direction of the threat is. It's like a second set of eyes, and I don't understand why it doesn't get used more often. At least when it's in groups, I bring it all the time. If you're running solo, maybe a supply pack would want to be brought in that situation, or something else, maybe another expendable. But in this setup against the Illuminate and the bugs, without a doubt, using it all the time. One, because it's fire, and well, it produces it's heat. It's a beam and it sets things on fire, and then you've got that damage on top of the damage it's also outputting and what you're putting out too, and it acts like a personal UAV. It's fantastic. Bring it. And when it comes to the final stratagem, it depends, again, who you're fighting, but We're focusing on the Illuminate and the bugs here, and I would primarily go for the Epoch, but also would consider taking the anti-material rifle. You don't necessarily need to take anything anti-tank. Heavy armor penetrating and explosive damage is more than enough against the bugs, and that goes with the Illuminate also. You're taking out most threats, and I believe even closing certain bug holes with the Epoch. Not too sure if you can close a Bile-Titan hole, I'm not sure, but we would be primarily taking the Epoch. However, sometimes when it depends if I'm loading into a particular type of mission or if I know that there's going to be a decent amount of harvesters, I like to bring the anti-material rifle with me, as I feel quite comfortable taking it because also it deals with stingrays really well. Not to mention it does a very good job at taking the harvester's shield generator, which is like the pylon rod thing that's on the top of their heads. Take that out with the AMR and you've got easy pickings on harvesters also. There's a few to choose from. But bugs, I would take Epoch, and Illuminate in particular missions, the AMR. The AMR also, when it comes for the bots, as it's great at taking hulks out, and it also deals with those flying bastard things that are now very, very good at hitting you. And last but not least, boosters. But when it comes to boosters, it's kind of subjective again, because it depends if you're already jumping into a mission. For instance, you wouldn't take Hellpod space optimization if you're jumping into a party if someone's already got it. If you're running solo, I would highly recommend using vitality enhancement or stamina enhancement, whether you prefer to, I don't know, run your heart out or try not to get your heart pulled out, as the vitality enhancement provides us reduction from minor damage. But you've also got the experimental infusion that can get you out of a sticky situation if you're literally on death's door. It gives you a speed boost, and it gives you also a healing factor over a few seconds, so you can save your skin in a lot of situations. I usually primarily always go with Hellpod space optimization, as I don't like the idea of diving half equipped. So yeah, we've got our siege ready DP8 mountain scaled armor here for the increased reload speed of 30% for our primary weapon being the Sweeper, along with our ultimatum as our secondary and our incendiary as our throwable. And here we have a 500 kg bullet storm, laser rover, and the Epoch. So yeah, there you go. That's the loadout that I've been using over a long period of time now. It's done me well, and here's some footage that I hope is going to suffice for me justifying that I think this is a good loadout. If it isn't, I do apologize. I am only human. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you enjoyed the content in general, think about liking the video, maybe subscribing to the channel. I primarily live stream more so than upload videos, but it's fun to meet new people and dive with new people. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy it. Enjoy the gameplay.
Follow me! Wait out, folks! Last reload! Bag's empty! I need... Grenade!